looks like a highly politicized kind of coordination going on there. Simultaneously, Liz Warren is saying what she's saying and attacking Bitcoin and so-called crypto. So to your point, does this set up a situation where the public is only allowed to own ETFs, which are a derivative of Bitcoin and cash settled, similar to gold? You know, if GLD gets into trouble, they have the ability to settle in cash.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Max Keiser discuss about Bitcoin. According to Max Keiser, she is claiming and criticizing cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin. Thus, you can see that as a result, the public will only be able to hold ETFs that are cash and Bitcoin derivatives regulated similarly to gold. You are aware that gold is a danger if gold enters it. They can settle in cash. You don't need to receive gold. They can send you fiat money that matches your exact say. It negates the intent, therefore, an ETF for Bitcoin that is settled in cash is nearly point. But even so, it will generate a lot of cash. At the same time, they could argue that, based on Liz, self-custody of Bitcoin may now be prohibited. The public can only hold a derivative of Bitcoin, while the government is the only entity authorized to possess the cryptocurrency itself. Naturally, that would benefit El Salvador, now that everyone who has lost their Bitcoin in a catastrophic voting mishap would quickly arrange a flight there, and lots of things Max Keiser discuss. So please watch the video to end, and share this video, and subscribe our channel, Everyday Finance. Thanks.
You know, the global empire that is America is debt-driven. It's a financial empire. And once you leave the United States, you see it more clearly how it works in other countries. And Max and Stacy have been reporting on this now for many years. Stacy and myself both met as expats. We had both been living out of the country for many years. And so we came together and were able to speak really on the same wavelength about kind of seeing the U.S. from this perspective of living outside of the U.S. And I think that's why our financial reporting had an edge to it, because we were able to put it into context of the global economy and the way other people see it, other countries see it. And I think that's kind of what I was getting at there. Yeah, exactly. And you're right. All the countries starting in 1971 went on a pure fiat money standard. Europe, of course, has the European Central Bank and the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve Bank and the Bank of Japan. But they all kind of feed back to the mothership, that is the Federal Reserve Bank. Certainly after World War II, the U.S. took this global role as being the world's kind of banker. And as a result, everybody kind of answers to what's happening in the U.S. Up until maybe things have gotten much different with the advent of Bitcoin and the geopolitics has changed somewhat. But yeah, you're right. Everyone is kind of in the same boat. So the stuff that we're reporting on would relate to everybody, has that understanding, and they want to know why they live in this fiat money system, why it's so crummy. And so it does relate to everybody because we're all living in a similar situation. Well, I don't think it's really working because the purchasing power of fiat money all over the world continues to decline. And people are starting to feel the inflation, even at the mothership country in the U.S. Inflation is really starting to rage. Yeah. And we see the wealth and income gap spread all over the world, and we see poverty rates increasing. That's a result of the fiat money system. So the tricks are not really working, and we see it on the ground. There's a lot more social unrest, and I think that's what we would attribute to the fiat money system and the central banking system more than any political aspect. This is really the result of all this money printing.
According to Max Keiser, everyone sort of responds to what has been going on in the US up to now may have significantly distinct since the introduction of Bitcoin. And while certain changes have occurred in geopolitics, since everyone is essentially in the same situation, the topics we report on will have a connection to everyone, is aware of this, and wants to know why the fiat money system they live in is so awful. It applies to everyone, as we all live in comparable circumstances. Circumstances you seem to be aware of, and somewhat understanding of. This for those who are paying attention, Let's back to the Max Keiser interview.
Yeah, the ETFs, it's interesting. I've been in finance for over 40 years, and to see the coordination and the multiple launch of a product simultaneously like this is highly unusual. I've never seen it quite before. So I think there is an agenda going on. And
simultaneously, you're saying like the laws and the ETF launch together?
I'm saying that multiple ETFs being launched simultaneously from 15 different financial institutions.
Right.
Or all have an ETF in the works. Usually it's, first mover advantage, and somebody comes up with an ETF and they kind of get the market, and they're like the GLD, for example, was launched, and I believe it's either HSBC or JP Morgan are the custodian behind that, and they launched it and they captured the blind share of the market, and they have that product. And that's typically the way products are launched. But here they're saying to Wall Street, we want you to coordinate a product launch simultaneously amongst all of you financial institutions. So that looks like there's a highly politicized kind of coordination going on there. Simultaneously, Liz Warren is saying what she's saying and attacking Bitcoin and so-called crypto. So to your point, does this set up a situation where the public is only allowed to own ETFs, which are a derivative of Bitcoin and cash settled, similar to gold? If gold GLD gets into trouble, they have the ability to settle in cash. They don't have to send you gold; they can send you fiat money. To your exact phrase, it defeats the purpose. So an ETF, Bitcoin that's settled in cash, is almost point. Nevertheless, it will bring in a lot of capital. Simultaneously, they could say, well, self-custody of Bitcoin, according to Liz Warren, could be banned. So now you have a situation where only the government can own actual Bitcoin, but the public can only own a derivative. Now, would that help El Salvador? Of course, because everybody who has lost their Bitcoin in a tragic boating accident would immediately book a flight to El Salvador. Because the leadership here would recognize this is a huge opportunity. President Bukele is a fantastic leader, and like all fantastic leaders, his ideas are fantastic. Plus, he capitalizes on other people's mistakes. When other countries make a mistake, he jumps in and capitalizes on that mistake. That's part of being a leader, I think. And so if these other countries want to make that mistake, El Salvador is happy to be the beneficiary. Yeah, remember, Bitcoin separates money from state. And that's as accurate, that's true as saying that gold is element number 79 on the periodic table. It's a statement of fact.
Yeah.
And now the state is trying to snatch it back. But the vector that Bitcoin is on, it has achieved escape velocity. And no state will be able to try to bring it back in the fold. It's gone. They messed up. It's gone.
Yeah. Austin Goolsbee was right about that. He said we should have killed it while we had the chance, he being under President Obama. But and Satoshi himself said as such during when WikiLeaks first got involved in Bitcoin in 2010, he was worried. He expressed concern, saying that we're too young and we're too small to battle.
We kicked the hornet's nest, he said.
Yes, kick the hornet's nest. That's what he said. Yeah. And so he was right, but luckily, well, the U.S. had multiple war fronts at that time, and it was too small, and they didn't think it was going to be a threat. So they just thought it was Max and Stacy on Keiser Report. So they were wrong.
The thing about money, Mark, as you always bring up, is that it is a coded way to promote freedom. Right. And so Bitcoin is perfect money, and therefore it satisfies something in us as human beings. So as long as humans still want to be human, Bitcoin will be on that vector going away from the state. And the state always ends up coalescing and becoming powerful to the extent of snuffing out freedoms.
Yeah.
And this battle against money versus the state has been lost by the state. They have lost. They are dead. The only thing left now is to bury them.
According to Max Keiser, we invented the term global insurrection against banker occupation, or GABO. Same statement was on our program perhaps 7 years ago, following Occupy Wall Street recall that Occupy Wall Street was actually the first time activists took aim at Wall Street and the financial hubs as the root of the issues. And once people began to realize that it's the bankers, it's the money, it's the idea that meme has grown central. Bankers, it's the concepts put forth by Ron Paul that have been discussed for a long time. And to your point regarding, you Keiser aware that stabbing has turned into a way of life, and Stacy is referring to the Bazet, comment about this, and bears are saying it so truly. That is, looting basically becomes institutionalized and becomes a way of life. If you learned something from this video, then please like this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance, and we will meet in next video. Thanks.